Welcome back, everybody. This is Billy with Harnessing Your Wealth. Today's guest is Jason Murray. He's the chairman, CEO, and also co-founder of PACS Corporation. PACS is a acute care operator in post-acute and skilled nursing care, one of the fastest growing companies in this industry in the entire country. PACS is scaled in an industry known for tight margins, heavy regulation, and massive operational complexity. Yet they've built a reputation for discipline, consistency, and core growth. They've also maintained a strong culture, which was very important to Jason and his partner, Mark Hancock. Jason sits at the intersection of healthcare, real estate, labor, and capital. And today we're going to talk about what it actually takes to build a durable business in one of the hardest sectors in America. So let's jump in. Welcome back to Harnessing Your Wealth, and welcome Jason Murray. Thanks for being our guest today. We're glad to have you in the office.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. It's been quite a whirlwind ride for you. You've been on a tremendous tear, and I've watched you. I've known you for several years now. It's been pretty amazing seeing the growth of your company, your business, and then just watching you personally. What's it like being Jason Murray these days?
It's great. Like I'm fortunate to have a really good support structure around me. As you mentioned, the last little while has been challenging for not only me professionally, but also personally. And, there were some heavy moments during the last, year that we've had to navigate. But having the support structure that I've had has been fantastic. There's no way I could have made it through that without, the people in my life. And so, as I think about with much of that behind us now, and having the ability to focus more on kind of the day-to-day functions of our business and just kind of my personal life as well, it is great. It's very sweet. You take that and compare it to where we were at before. It feels amazing.
A lot of people are going to already know this about you from hearing the introduction and then reading a little bit about you. But you're one of the most wealthy people in Utah. I mean, you're up there in the top end. Does that ever make you stop and just kind of take reflection on what you've done in your life? Do you ever kind of say, "Wow, this is amazing"?
For sure. I mean, I don't think I ever would have dreamed, right, that we would be where we are today from a wealth standpoint. I can't say that I had any specific goals that I wanted to get to that point, and so it is a surprise for sure. And maybe we'll talk more about this, but having that the wealth, I guess, that we've been able to create over the years. It does change, I think, the way that you view things. When I think about, relationships, for example, that, as I mentioned, I've got a very dedicated support group in my life with my family and friends, and that's important to me. But what I've found is that circle has gotten smaller, and relationships are more real now in my life, which is a great result, I think, of just kind of the way that my mind has evolved and the way I've thought about relationships in general. That's important to me, and so I think that's a great lesson that I've learned in this, is that we need to keep relationships real and for the right reasons, and it's okay to have a smaller friend group or relationship group, as long as you are. As long as you're supporting one another. I mean, that's the way I think about that.
Yeah. You grew up with a lot of the values and great core values that are so prevalent here in Utah. Yeah. And I'm sure that's still a focus of yours. And I'm sure you've changed a lot. As you mentioned, you've learned so much and experienced so much in this relatively short period of time. I want to take our listeners back, if you will, to this inception, or maybe the beginning of your career. I know that you worked in the healthcare industry for a time, and you were part of that kind of post-acute care system. Mm-hmm. And then you met, or maybe you knew your partner, Mark Hancock.
That's right.
And you guys struck up a chord and created a bond, and then decided, hey, we can do this. And Tell our listeners about that experience and how that all came into fruition.
Sure, yeah. And as you mentioned, I did. I was probably one of the very few who had an idea what I wanted to do immediately out of college. And not just immediate, but I focused in on post-acute healthcare, specifically nursing home administration. And when I say I'm one of the few, there's not many people that go into that industry. In fact, I think there's people that just really don't know that it exists as a career. I certainly didn't until I had a professor that was kind enough to point me in that direction. And once I started to study that more, I realized it was something that was very meaningful. And what I mean by that is I spent some time working as a CNA. Providing direct patient care on an Alzheimer's unit at a nursing home in Roy, Utah. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me. As you're providing that direct patient care, you are in a very intimate setting and you're getting to know patients in a way that you wouldn't get to know them any other way than spending it providing care. And so that was meaningful to me because I started to realize as I spent time with those patients that this work was incredibly important. We were a home away from home, right, for these patients and for the families of these patients as well. And it took a minute for that to really sink in. But as it started to really understand that better, it got into my blood. And you start to really just find an incredibly amount of satisfaction in the work you're doing. And so that's really what started my trajectory into nursing homes is that experience, working as a CNA. And so, fast forward as I worked for different companies in different states and managed, single facilities, multiple facilities for different companies. I did meet my business partner, Mark Hancock. We were working for the same company in Salt Lake City. And he was a new administrator coming into the space, and I was more of a seasoned guy. But we were opening up the state of Utah for a California owner-operator. And so it was their first growth out of California. So, Mark and I, our responsibility was to really kind of take this model from California, adapt it to Utah, and try to make it successful. We learned a lot in that experience.
Was still with another company.
So this was with another company. Right. He and I were working for the same company, but for a different company, right? We were working for the same company, but they weren't
your company.
They weren't our company. That's exactly right. So we worked in the trenches together and created a bond, a relationship, a friendship through that. And as we spent our time together, there came a point when we separated, and I went to go work for a different company. He went to go work for a different company. And it was then where we just continued to stay in touch over the years. And then one day he called me up and said that he had an opportunity to buy a couple of nursing homes in California from his brother-in-law, and was wondering if I might be interested in joining him in that. And at the time I had left post-acute care. Like I was in acute care working for Intermountain Healthcare, and I was very happy and satisfied. That was kind of a goal that I had had professionally in my life. And so it was a very hard decision for me. As we spent time talking about that, I realized that it was, this was going to take a lot, I think, to get me to really move. And so as we spent time talking about it, it was interesting to see the evolution of these discussions, because we started to realize that, we have this experience that we've gained over the last several years of working in the industry, and we'd worked for different companies, and we had learned kind of the good and the bad on how to operate nursing homes. And so as we came together, we talked about that. We talked about, what would we potentially offer that would be different and potentially unique for this sector. I think what we did know for certain was that the sector needed help. It needed, I don't know if you've ever spent time in a nursing home before, if you've ever gone to
try to avoid.
You try to avoid, right?
Yeah.
So that's
usually if you're going there, it's not for a good reason, right?
That's usually the reaction you get is when I start talking to people about what I do, I tell them I work in nursing homes, and their eyes, glaze over, and the conversation ends pretty quick.
Next.
Sounds like right? Financial advisor, and they're just like, oh God, get away from me.
Yeah. So that as we spent time talking, we did start to realize that we had what was potentially a very unique approach to post-acute healthcare, and there was a model that we started to hone in on and start to develop, and it was a model that we felt was unique operationally, clinically, from a leadership standpoint as well. And the more we talked about it, the more it started to make sense. Hey, we could actually do this. Like we could add value to a sector that desperately needs it, where we could elevate the care within a facility and improve the working environment for the employees as well. So it was then when we finally just made the jump. We said, you know what, we're gonna do this. This all made sense as we evaluated the business thesis. It made good sense, and we were fortunate to have this platform in the facilities in San Diego to prove our model. And so that's what we did. We jumped into business together. That was late 2012 with the 2 facilities in San Diego. And really the idea was let's take this model that we had created and we're going to deploy it here and continue to build upon the momentum that those 2 facilities had. And we were going to look for opportunities to grow.
Let me stop you real quick. Did you have to move to San Diego in order to get that thing rolling, or did you stay here in Utah? First question.
Yeah. So I stayed in Utah. Mark at the time was in Kentucky. Really? So we were swapping every other week, going and traveling.
One or other.
That's right.
Or the other was back and forth. And what was it like from an emotional and kind of a personal risk standpoint? You probably had to take undertake a fair amount of debt, right? Borrow a lot of money to get those things purchased, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. I mean, that was part of the calculus as we were thinking about this decision and evaluating it was, how much capital do we have to actually do this? Mm-hmm. And, we were able to, from the owners of the facility, get some owner financing. That was a portion of it. And then Mark and I literally brought everything that we had, which was not much, to the table. And we essentially leveraged everything that we had to jump into business together.
Because you were at your job, you had like this secure job, what you wanted your whole life.
Right.
Buddy calls you up and says, "Hey, let's buy these," and you did it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like he and I were both very comfortable. We were outside of the sector at the time, and he was in a very high position in finance, and I was doing what I kind of had a goal to do, and so very comfortable. And could have been very satisfied, I think, continuing to do that. But there was that entrepreneurial itch, right? Mm-hmm. That I had throughout my career, and this was an opportunity to do that. But you marry that entrepreneurial itch with a really good business thesis that is meaningful in a line of work that is meaningful, and fortunately the recipe worked for us.
Mm. So you start with 2,
yep,
right? And I don't even think we mentioned the name of the company yet, right? PAX.
Sorry, you're going to see that.
You'll see it in the intro, but
show notes. But
PAX. And now, where do you stand now, facility wise? And how do you go? I know it's a lot, but how do you go from 2 to where you are today? How do you scale that?
So today we're over 320 facilities across a lot of different states, and so the answer to that question is
it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy. The answer is it's slow. Number one. We really were trying to be careful and thoughtful with the way that we grew. Because when we started the company, we felt like we had something unique, as I mentioned. And what that led to was a culture that was also unique within our facilities. And so we were very sensitive to growth because we didn't want to lose that culture. Yeah. That was what was most important to us, right? Even probably more important than doing a good business deal, we wanted to make sure that we weren't compromising our culture.
Nice.
So every deal that we did, we looked at it through that lens of, okay, does the business thesis make sense on this facility? Does the calculus make sense on this facility? But more importantly, are we getting over our skis on culture? And the way that we're able to scale at the rate that we did, even though it was slow early on, we were able to expand that capability through good people. And we've been very fortunate over the years to have a model that has attracted a certain type of person in our company, and those individuals are high performing, highly skilled individuals who have helped take the organization to a new level. There's no way that I could have done that on my own, or Mark could have done it on our own. We needed help, and we've been fortunate to have that help in our people. And I call that a competitive advantage that we have as a company.
Were you always thinking, well, not always, but you made these two work. How soon after that did you decide that, hey, we can make this more of a national presence rather than just a regional? And how did that all come together? I'm sure you had to hire a number of people, but who was the kind of the driving force behind the growth?
So, yeah, again, early on, it's funny. When Mark and I were working through this, we we never really set a goal from a number standpoint of the number of facilities that we would like to acquire. I think at one point we had maybe socialized the idea of like 20 facilities. It'd be great to have 20 facilities because we can have our arms around that. We can, influence what's going on in the facilities. It didn't take us long to get to 20 facilities. So to answer your question, the first part of your question is, right out of the gate, we started to look for opportunities to grow because we wanted to continue to prove that model. We weren't looking at big deals. We were looking at small deals, and we didn't have the capital to do big deals, right? So we're looking at just smaller growth opportunities. And we were thinking that we'd be more of kind of a regional player, right? Like just small regional 20 facilities in a particular area of the country. And it wasn't long before that changed because we started to realize that, this model applies not only to, California, Southern California, but it applies also to Central California and Northern California and Kentucky and other states. So as we started to prove the model out, we started to really understand that there's value if we're doing the proper diligence in the states where we're targeting and the different markets that we're targeting. If we're doing proper diligence there, this model will be successful. And the motivation behind the growth, I get back to this experience that I had as a CNA. As I spent time with the patients, again, getting to know them and getting to understand how my efforts directly changed their lives, right? If I brought my best to work every day, I was improving that person's life. And that was meaningful to me. As I said, it was very impactful for me. And so when we talk about growth today, it's literally the same motivation for us. We target underperforming skilled nursing facilities. We're a consolidator as a company. And so we'll target underperforming facilities and facilities that might be broken in many ways, operationally, clinically. And we will deploy our model. And usually that model includes bringing in potentially new leadership as we evaluate the leadership. Does it line up culturally with who we are and the way that we expect to do things as a company? And as we bring in that leadership and bring in and deploy our model, we start to breathe new life into that facility. And every time we do that, we're improving a patient's life, right? Like every time that we can move a tenth of a point on the quality metrics, that is directly improving patients' lives. And so that's the way we think about growth, is that it's incredibly rewarding personally for us from a mission standpoint to change people's lives and improve their lives. Not only the patients, but also our model improves the work environment for our employees. That's important. So that's the motivation behind our growth. And so when we think about how big are we going to get and how many facilities are we going to grow to, that's how we got to over 320 facilities. And that's going to continue to drive our future growth. As we think about it is we'll be opportunistic and we'll continue to think about, can we find those facilities where we can add value? And in doing that, can we continue to improve people's lives in the way that we have historically? And if we can do that, then we'll continue to grow.
Sounds like a lot of acquisitions. Do you ever build new facilities?
We have, yeah.
Have you?
We've done some de novo across the country, yes. We're one of the few providers who's opened up new facilities in the state of California. That's no easy task.
Regulations would be my guess. I don't know.
Regulations.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Everything's bad.
In fact, we actually just opened one not too long ago. It was a 7-year build process.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. So, but when they open up there, it's a brand new asset, right? And so it's highly desirable in the markets where we build. And so we're very careful and thoughtful about de novo. It is part of our strategy, but we've grown mostly through acquiring existing facilities.
Speaking of, just regulations, healthcare alone just seems like a highly regulated industry.
Right.
And now you're doing it across all these different states. How do you guys manage that? Like I can't even grasp that in my
Yeah.
mind. I know you have good people, but how do you go into that with the regulatory environment?
So you're right. I mean, it is incredibly challenging, our sector. It's one of the highest regulated industries in the country. And, we actually see that as a barrier to entry for what we do, because we like to think that we're very good at understanding regulation and complying with regulation and getting good quality outcomes for our patients. So if you feel like you do that well and you're in an industry that's highly regulated, like it is a barrier to entry for high quality providers. There's a lot out there that there's several providers that are very good at that. And, that's encouraging to see. We certainly strive for that as well. But, the way that we do it is really in our, you mentioned it, in our people. Our model is a decentralized leadership model where we have locally led facilities. So of those over 320 facilities that we have, each one of those has an administrator that runs them. It's a licensed administrator that has to go through a process to get that professional license. Usually it's about 1,000 hours internship, and they have to have a bachelor's degree, and they have to sit for federal exams and usually a state exam as well to get a professional license to act as the licensed administrator of that facility. That's really been our secret sauce, is our ability to find really high performing leaders, administrators, or develop them through our administrator and training program, and have them run their enterprises, right? So it's that decentralized model, or it's locally led by the administrators, but then we have PAC services, which is the central support for those facilities, right? So we provide the administrative support so those administrators can stay laser focused on providing high quality care to their patients and taking care of their employees.
They're running their own ship.
That's exactly right. So to answer your question, right, that is, as regulation changes, because every state's a little different. There's federal regulations, but then there's state regulations, and there's even certain areas, like certain communities, cities within the country that have their own specific regulation, right?
Man.
So it's important. This model, it's a very effective model because it allows our administrators to make good decisions locally, and they can adapt to whatever local environments they're operating in. And then we at PAC Services provide the resources, the administrative resources, the regulatory resources, compliance, those resources that allow them to take the administrative burden that they might be, encumbered with in the day-to-day, take that off their plates and allow them to stay focused on that.
But ultimately, they can make their own decision when an issue comes
exactly
up
right.
and they need to understand their market. I like that.
Yeah, you're giving them a guidebook because you guys have already kind of figured out the whole template, but they can modify it as they need.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they are the ones that create the business plans, right, for their local markets. They are the ones who create the budgets for their local markets. We're not the one telling them this is what you're going to do this year.
I like that.
This is, tell us what you feel like you can do this year. Then how can we support you in that? So it's a bottoms up approach, and it's worked out really well. Like we believe strongly that healthcare is local. It has to be local, and we need to keep it local through the way that we operate our company by having our administrators and their teams empowered to make good decisions. That's how we're effective.
When you're evaluating these deals, this is so many questions that come to my mind. You have probably, and maybe I'm just speculating, do you have a team of people who are evaluating possible deals for you, or do you and Mark still stay hands-on with that? That's the first part of the question. And second, what type of facilities are you most interested in? Is it post-acute, or are you looking for senior living stuff, or combination? Doesn't it matter?
So the first part of that question is we have an investment committee that Mark and I are both on, and so we are very hands-on with that process. We want to know what we're looking at, and we want to know the deals that we do, and ultimately we are voting members of the investment committee. And so we don't get a deal done unless we say yes, we're going to do that deal. So that's kind of the first part of your question. Is we do have a team of people that are evaluating deals, and based off of our model being decentralized, we have people or administrators and regional vice presidents, the way our organization is set up, like they are in tune with what's going on in their markets. And so it's not uncommon for us to get,
they bring an opportunity.
Say, hey, here's an opportunity.
You compensate them for that type of thing? Like, finding a deal and then you close it? Do they get a bonus or an incentive?
Well, they get their regular paychecks. Yeah, that's their compensation.
You get to stay employed.
You get to stay employed. No, I mean their incentive is like from a regional vice president, they're adding more to their region, right? And so we do have that investment committee, and that's the team that is working on deal flow. And we're fortunate to have been very, I think, good at executing on deals in the past, and so we tend to be the provider of choice in the markets where we operate. And I think that we are also desirable because not only from a quality metrics standpoint, we're a very, I think, effective operator in the markets where we operate, but we are an owner operator, meaning that we can not only take down the real estate of a deal, right? If I'm looking at a nursing home to buy, you've got the real estate component and you have the operating component of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, think of it like a hotel, right? You have the hotel brand and then you have the operating
revenue and
that's right. So you have the owner of the real estate and you have the operating company as well. That's the way the nursing homes are set up. And so we are a company where over time, we've been able to build our balance sheet to a point where we can buy the real estate, or we can just buy the operating company and we can partner with a public REIT. Or a private landlord to operate, do a triple net lease and operate that facility. So way less capital intensive to do it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that optionality that we have when we're looking at deals is attractive to sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's why I think we have a bit of an advantage when we're looking at deals, because the REITs, we might be bidding on the same deal, but the REITs are going to need an operator to operate those facilities, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll oftentimes come to us and say, how can we work this out together?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've got great relationships with our landlords and REIT partners and private landlords. Like they're great, been great partners of ours over the years. So we've been fortunate that way. So anyway, that's how we've continued to grow. What was the other part of the question?
It was about the post-acute
okay,
facilities or senior living, or does that matter?
Yeah. So our core business is skilled nursing. But there is, as you look at, but we consider ourselves a post-acute healthcare company. And, here recently we've started to, develop the senior living side of our portfolio. And we like that because it is tangential to what we do now. Right. And it is complementary to what we do now. So skilled nursing being our core business, if we have an assisted living facility in a market where we operate a skilled nursing facility, we have the option to discharge patients from the SNF to the ALF or the independent living facility, and vice versa, right, from the ALF to the SNF.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates an ecosystem in the markets where we operate. And so we'll continue to evaluate those opportunities. We'll continue to look at growth as a company in the lens of post-acute healthcare. And how can we keep skilled nursing our core business, but how can we augment that and create these ecosystems where we currently have a footprint? And there are businesses like assisted living and independent living, home health, hospice, things of that nature. Those are businesses that are interesting to us as we think of additional verticals that we can potentially create in the company to support our core business of skilled nursing.
A lot of additional expenses coming into play with healthcare. Of course, the costs don't go down. But everyone needs to think about these things in their life. Like, what am I going to do if I need some help, or what's going to look like for mom and dad, senior living stuff? And so, I think this is a topic that everyone needs to think about somewhat. With regard to your business, you guys are juggling a lot now because you're publicly traded. So you have all these relationships to manage, where it's the patients, it's the clinicians, it's the regulators, it's the investors. How do you square all that up? How do you bring it all together so you don't lose your mind, first of all?
I guess the way that I think about that is, there's a lot to juggle for sure. The regulatory environment is definitely a challenge. The workforce as well. We need more nurses in our sector. The country needs more nurses, more clinicians, right, to take care of the aging population as it continues to grow. Reimbursement, so the political environment, Medicare, Medicaid, managed care, those sorts of things. There's a lot to balance in what we do. And it's easy to, potentially get overwhelmed in those things. And I guess what we try to do is number one, the decisions that we make need to be rooted in something. And that's our mission. Our mission statement and our values as a company, that's what we come back to when we are making decisions. And if we're rooted in our mission, our vision, our values as an organization, then, it makes decisions more consistent across those different areas that we're trying to navigate. And so that's kind of thing number one, is that we want to make sure that we're always disciplined in the way we make decisions and make sure that it's rooted in our mission. And we do that through leadership. We do that through quality as well, right? And so those are, it's broad, but when we think of that, like we need to potentially think outside of the box sometimes on how we do things to meet the needs of that patient, right? So number one, you can't revolutionize something unless you're taking care of the basic blocking and tackling. And the basic blocking and tackling for us is high quality care for our patients and a good, solid working environment for our employees. So everything in our facilities, like we run nursing homes. And so nursing is our product, right? Nursing care is our product. And so we have to be really good at that. To me, that's table stakes. That's basic blocking and tackling. We have to be really good at that. And that certainly is a focus of ours, especially when we go into new facilities where they may need help in that area. That's priority number one for us, is how do we get the clinical product right? How much resource do we need to spend in order to get it right? How many people do we need to hire? What type of equipment do they need? What does the physical plant look like? How much resource do we need to put into that to start to earn the trust of the markets where we're operating, the trust of the physicians, the trust of the hospitals, the trust of the health plans? How can we build that trust? Yeah. And so that's basic blocking and tackling is the way that I think about that. And so once we start to improve in that area, then we can really start to get into this, revolution of how do we kind of rethink the way that we operate nursing homes.
It's a growing industry, and you guys are one of the fastest growing in the country, if I remember reading that correctly. You guys, go ahead.
I just got to jump in, like hearing your story. Two guys, they go into partnership together, they start building. And at some point you're like, hey man, should we take this public? Like, I want to hear like how that happened. Like, imagine sitting there with my buddy, like, dude, let's take this public. Or were you approached? Like, I just want to hear like how that went down.
So number one, we never had that goal in the beginning, right? To take the company public. That didn't happen until much later in the process, where as we started to grow and scale, we started to realize that we were, what is eventually our exit strategy here, Mark, right? Like, what are we doing? We're getting, really big. Are you and I just kind of going to do this forever until we're old and then we just kind of walk into the nursing home and take a bed?
Free bed, right? You better get a freebie.
So, the more we talked about that, we had to come up with a strategy. And at that time when we were thinking about it, we were too big really for
like a private equity deal or something like that.
a private equity deal that made sense, right? We were approached by private equity many, many times over the years. But it just never felt right. And so as we thought about this strategy of, okay, what are the next steps? There were some things that were very important to us. Like number one, the culture of the company, right? So that kind of ruled out private equity to a degree, because, and this, no offense to my private equity friends, but that can change the culture of a company. And we
see it all the time, man.
We knew that. And so we were very careful about that. And again, Mark and I were very fortunate to own the company ourselves, right? We were 50-50 owners going into it, and we remained 50-50 owners all the way up until the IPO.
Wow.
So we didn't take on any outside capital, which was great because it allowed us to be the captains of our destiny and make decisions on what were important to us. Yeah. So, again, back to this conversation around taking the company public, is that, the culture was important to us. So we wanted to create something that would help perpetuate the legacy of the company, something that we had built that we were very passionate about. And so we felt like the public markets were a way to do that. It allowed us, even though, yes, you are, answering to shareholders, you have shareholders, but, you also have the ability to, maintain a lot of your identity in that process. So as you compare it to like private equity. So that was kind of consideration number one, was the culture. Number two was we wanted to continue to attract. What we felt was a competitive advantage of ours was this ability to attract highly talented people to our organization, and that we wanted to create more stickiness to them, for them, right? And so, what we felt like is that long-term incentives through the public markets was a great way to do that, to create some stickiness for our employees. And so that was consideration number two. And then number three was really access to the capital markets. We had outgrown all the specialty lenders out there, to continue to grow and buy real estate and that sort of thing. Like, we had kind of tapped those out. And if we wanted to continue to grow our mission and advance that throughout the country, we were going to need to have access to institutional capital to do that. So those are really the three considerations. And so the more we kind of chewed on that and debated it back and forth, and we had some really good advisors, with some banks as well that we worked through, where it made good sense for us to do that. We socialized it with our leadership team as well, and they felt very encouraged by that move, and it felt good. I mean, the day that we were able to ring the bell, we introduced a lot more ownership into our company, and that felt good because a lot of those people were people on my team, people who had not had equity ownership before. And that was great, very rewarding. They have shares now, and that was very rewarding. And again, it aligns the incentives properly.
That's cool.
Absolutely. What percentage of the company did you and Mark retain through the IPO?
So that's public information, right? So we have around I think it's 75% each, something like that, 70 to 75%, something like that.
That's cool. I love to see the culture idea maintained. Too often in our business, we see businesses get sold, and then the whole thing falls apart because what brought it to that stage, those values fall apart. So I love that part of this, and the listeners are going to hear that. A lot of people out there thinking about selling their business and not sure when's the right time and what's the right deal and what's the kind of structure that they're looking for. What makes you walk away from a potential deal? Is it just all the numbers?
So yeah, good question. I think it can be a combination of things for sure, right? So I think over the years we've gotten very good at becoming more sophisticated and professionalized in the way that we underwrite opportunities. And so we look at a whole host of things that we consider when we're doing a deal. And I would say there's no one single thing that would potentially discourage us from doing a deal. It's usually a combination of things. But I'll point to a couple of things that where we've said no before. And I guess before I jump into that, I'll lead with we say no a lot more than we say yes. Yeah. Right? We look at a lot of deals, and we probably do 1 out of every 10 that we look at. Mm-hmm. And so you need to be disciplined as you grow. So when we are looking at an opportunity, something that might be like a deal killer for us, if we don't see that there is a solid foundation for us to potentially build on, what I mean by that is, what does the staffing look like within a facility? And what does the clinical product look like? And we can determine all of that by looking at publicly available data to understand like what the quality measures are and what the turnover rates are at a facility. If a facility is so bad, even though I talk about taking broken facilities, but if these broken facilities, there are some out there that are just not, they can't be turned around. Mm-hmm. And they can be, for example, so poor from a clinical standpoint that the government has essentially said, you need to clean up your act, otherwise we're shutting you down. We've seen our fair share of those facilities, and
they've made movies about those kind of facilities.
Yeah, right. So
scary.
So that is. So we see. Yeah, I mean, scary is the right word. We've seen a lot of crazy things out there. We've seen a lot of facilities over the years, but that is. It's interesting because as you dig into that, we have taken. And this is called like a special focus facility. That's typically the when you get a facility that's on the brink of being decertified and closed down, it's in this special focus category. And so we've seen our fair share of special focus facilities. We've acquired our fair share of focused facilities, but we have to make sure that we feel comfortable with the ability to move the needle clinically. Mm-hmm. There are certain facilities where there might be just so much overhang from a leadership standpoint. Maybe it's lawsuits as well, where it's just such a deep hole that the return on effort is not there. And it's sad. And that hurts me to say that, because there's a lot of benefit that those patients and employees could reap in us coming in and helping move that needle. And so, it is hard to say no, but we are trying to just be disciplined and make sure we get enough, return on our effort when we're looking at those really heavy turnarounds.
Sometimes it might be an owner wanting to sell because they are at a dead end, or they can't get themselves turned around. Do you look at things like as remedial as Google reviews?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we'll dig into Google, dig into social media as well. Again, our underwriting team is pretty sophisticated in their ability to kind of data mine a lot of information to help make a good decision.
It's all out there, Billy. You better
these guys
get one of those scrubbing services to clear your name.
They're trying to bring me into this new realm of AI, but you guys probably use AI to figure stuff out, right?
So
you guys into that yet?
we actually have an AI committee
Really?
that we've
See,
created.
I told you, Bill.
Oh my goodness.
Get on
it's
board,
taken
bro.
over the world,
So
right?
far behind the times.
So we evaluate a lot of different AI products. There's nothing right now that I would say that we're rolling out as an initiative, but it's something that we continue to evaluate. And there's some very, very interesting things out there to help us become more efficient in the way that we provide care. And so it's exciting. I mean, as scary as it can be, it is exciting to think about the ability to deploy some of this technology to improve the patient's lives.
I can see that. I mean, I'm totally on board. Sean was the first adopter around here. He probably started using that about, 6 or 8 months ago.
Heavily, yeah.
But I was blown away by what he could come up with just by asking some basic questions. And I thought, I'm laughing at him when he's asking these questions, because he always asks in such a nice and polite voice.
Hey, when the bots take over, I want them to know I said thank you and I was polite.
Absolutely.
I was very nice. And I'm on the free version, Billy. Wait till I get on the paid version.
Chat GPT, huh?
I am on chat.
Yeah, all right. I've got the paid version.
Oh, wow.
Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Because when I hit my limit, I get so mad. I'm just like, no more
I didn't
questions
know
for
there
the
was a
day.
limit. I've
How am
never
I
hit my
supposed to function?
Well, I'll tell you, it makes your Google searches way more informative.
Relevant.
Honestly.
I mean, it knows you, right? It knows your personality.
It's learned me over time, which is great. So I've got like a personal, like where I have a personal section where I'll work through personal things that
you just want info on. Yeah.
Like all sorts of random things. And then I have a business one where, I'll use that for certain things. It's really interesting to see how they've
crazy.
learned.
Opens your world, doesn't it?
It does.
They, Elon Musk is now really promoting the whole robot deal. You plan on buying a robot as soon as you're able to?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I've actually told that to my wife. I said, wait, and my family. I said, listen, I'm going to be like the first adopter of this as soon as it happens. I can't wait to have a robot doing the dishes.
Get it ordered. Yeah.
Right? Mowing the lawn. All sorts of things. So I think it's incredibly exciting. I mean, I've seen enough movies as well. My kids are like, no, we shouldn't do that. Like they're going to take over the household.
We're dead. We're all
Be
doomed.
fine.
Yeah.
The movie just need an exciting plot line. So we'll be all right.
It's going to be an interesting next 10 years, I think, what's going to happen in the world. And folks like my dad who do screw up and he can barely function with a cell phone. I hope he never has to witness what's going to transpire. But hey, we'll see. I love the opportunity to grow and for everybody to have a better life. And, for what it's worth. They're saying Tesla's going to stop production on their Model S and Model Y.
The Y. The X, the one that opens
S
up
and
like
X,
the
yeah.
S and X.
And in order to build robots. I mean, he thinks this is absolutely everybody's going to have robots sooner or later.
Yeah.
Just like a dog.
I'll blow your mind here with this. Like when, nursing homes have traditionally been, very slow adopters of technology. And when we acquire facilities, there's oftentimes where they're still on paper charting. Really? So like an electronic medical record doesn't even exist in the facility. They're just on paper charting. So that takes you
So
all
they're
the way
like putting
back
it
to
in
like
a file
so they have
cabinet?
a binder they'll put it up on the shelf.
I remember
for every
those.
patient.
Yeah, I remember seeing those when you'd walk in.
Yeah. So when we come in and we deploy our model, again, a lot of that is technology led.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we'll fill the facility with computers and Wi-Fi, things that, you and I are.
You're just
Wi-Fi.
licking your chops when you see something like that.
So
You're
it's
like,
very interesting. Like we smile and we say we are absolutely the most technologically advanced skilled nursing company in the history of skilled nursing. The bar is so low, we feel really comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
But it's true because you have nurses, to your point, where they've been there for 40 years working, and they're scared of computers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that training is to get them comfortable with how to use a computer. It's crazy.
Get away from their rotary phone and actually start using it.
And here we are talking about AI, but we're just trying to get computers in to have nurses.
I
use.
can't believe that's still out there.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It's probably in a lot of these smaller communities.
That's right. Rural communities. That's right. Mm-hmm.
You bought a lot of things since you took off, went public, had a big influx of cash. I'm interested. I know you bought Morgan Valley, Round Valley Golf Course. What other fun stuff did you buy in the last couple years? Anything anything out there that's interesting? You do have a couple of restaurants.
Yeah. So I, in total transparency, like my day job keeps me super busy. And so I've got my head down, doing a lot of that. Sure. And we have a team on the family office side with myself and Mark that helps us with a lot of that stuff.
You guys do partnership deals too, personally?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we do.
You guys are really good friends.
Yeah, we do. In fact, I would say a lot of our personal investments outside of our company we do 50-50 as well. So
nice.
Even though Mark doesn't golf, he has a 50% ownership in a golf course.
Gotta love that.
Well, another one that maybe I'll just point out that I think is super fun is Envy Composites. If you're familiar with Envy Composites out of Ogden,
is that the one that makes the bike?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, so right. Jeremy Vence.
Yeah. So there's a lot of folks up here, up in Mountain Green and Morgan. Who ride their wheels. I mean, their wheels are the best in the world. We have Tadej Pogacar, who won the Tour de France the last few years. Like, he rides our wheels.
Wow.
So it's pretty well-known brand, in Morgan Valley, but also in the world. So again, another point where Mark is a cyclist. I'm not a cyclist. But I'm a 50% owner in that.
You got the joke.
So
you guys are each going to pick up a new hobby.
Yeah. So that's a fun one. But fortunately, our team stays busy with all of that and keeps it in line for us. Is I have my hands full with other things.
They just throw another idea at you, and you guys get to nix it. I'll tell you what. If you and Mark ever want to get into the horse racing world, you know who to call. I can get you set up, get you a couple race horses, be at the Kentucky Derby. Your wives are going to love you. Just
what's interesting there. So we started our first growth outside of California was Kentucky.
Really?
Mark was living in Kentucky.
That's right. He was in Kentucky.
He was just outside of Louisville, and so we did our first kind of larger deal out there in Kentucky, and so I spent a lot of time in Louisville and Lexington and the surrounding areas there. Lexington it's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
Beautiful state, and we actually talked about that. We're like, hey, man, we should look at these beautiful ranches. You see the white picket fences.
He's got it. He's got the bug already.
Jason, before you do that, hire me. I'll do it for free as an outside business consultant because I see this.
It's lovely.
Billy and Cade come to the office and they're either happy because something won or is healthy, or they're so mad we don't even talk to them for the rest of the day. And vet bills and trainer bills, I'm hearing all of it.
Well, there's a whole. That's what I didn't fully appreciate. There's a whole economy there.
You should come to a horse sale. Your mind would be blown.
Yeah, Mark was telling me about horse dentists. I didn't even know they had a horse dentist.
Yeah, they got everything, man.
Yeah, they've got everything.
Massage them. They got pools to swim in.
And they have retirement communities as well.
They do.
I've seen those where they send them out to pasture.
Business line.
That's right.
Take
I'm telling you.
Broken retirement horse community.
Well, listen, you may not need to twist our arm much on that one, Billy.
I could be a consultant on that one. I know I could.
All right.
Yeah.
Get you back in the saddle.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm ready. I'm going to Move into our rapid fire round.
Okay.
You ready
Yeah.
for this?
I think so.
Okay. I've got a bunch of questions, and Sean's got one. He's got
Do I?
a bunch of questions. These are just the whatever comes to mind, just fun, rapid fire. All right. Okay. I'm going to start with a couple of business ones, but are real quick. What's the best decision you made at PAX, but you didn't know it was going to be a good decision at the time?
To continue our trajectory of growth that we established, after the first couple of years, that trajectory was intimidating for a certain season. But as we doubled down and built out the resources to assimilate new facilities, we built a well-oiled machine that now we can assimilate facilities fairly easily.
Just to keep going with your head down.
Yeah.
What's one metric that you check every single week, no matter what?
I would say I would give you two. Can I give you two? Is that
yes,
okay?
absolutely.
So I would say our overall occupancy and our quality measures.
Quality measures regulatory, or does that come from internal?
So it's an internal metric, but it's publicly reported data.
I see.
So it's a number from basically 1 to 5 on how you're doing from a quality standpoint in the care that you're giving that patient. There's evaluations that capture that care you're providing, and then it gives you a composite score on that. So when we take over broken facilities, they're usually in that 1 category, maybe 2. And we moved to get that higher. So
And that valuation is taken by the patient, right? I'm assuming
it's taken by the caregiver. So the caregiver documents the care that they're providing that patient.
I see.
And then that information it's uploaded, and then there's public reporting around that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Third, Super Bowl pick.
Seahawks.
Like it. My daughter is dating a Seahawks, rabid Seahawks fan. He's from Washington, so I'm kind of getting exposure to that. So I'm happy for you, Cole, if you're listening. Fourth, BYU or Utah?
Oh, that's easy. BYU.
Of course.
Oh, we let him in?
Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, come on.
But tell us how you feel about BYU getting snubbed this year. Are you upset about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm incredibly upset about that. Like that was it was super unfortunate, and I've had this debate with my friends, over the last several months that, I mean, there has to be a fundamental change with the way that they do the ranking system. And, there's a lot of ideas out there. My idea, if they called me and said, hey, what's your idea? It would say, you got to have a field of 24. And if you're one of those smaller schools that is worried about being included in the process, even though you win, the last time I checked, like if you're winning all your games and if you're like undefeated and you're one of those smaller schools, you'll be in the top 25 for sure.
Yeah.
And then so that way you're included, right? You're included in the process, and then the best team wins.
Yeah.
Like
let them in.
You're adding more
Buy it
games
out.
to the season, but listen, we all love more games. Love college football.
For sure.
I know you went to BYU, so
I actually did not go to BYU, Billy. I went to Weber State.
Oh my goodness, really?
I went to Weber State. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We got a strong relationship with BYU.
We got that in common. All right. All right. Current favorite, and you might not have time for this stuff, but current favorite TV show or series?
Oh, you're right. I don't watch like
doesn't
TV
watch
series.
any-
Let's go this way. Favorite all-time movie?
That's a tough one. Put you on the
that's a
spot.
tough one too. I'm gonna go with Cinderella Man.
Okay.
Okay.
You know that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the
Russell
boxing
Crowe,
movie?
right?
That's the
Yeah.
boxing one.
Yeah.
That's a great. Yeah, Russell.
He was poor.
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
afford. Yeah, I remember
Great
that.
story.
Great,
That's a great show.
Absolutely overcoming adversity there. Sixth question. We're going into the gym now.
Oh boy.
Everybody needs to know this. How much do you bench press?
Now this is an intimidating question because they're gonna have people listening out there saying this guy's a liar, especially guys that go to the gym.
They're gonna make you do it when you go to the gym.
So I will caveat this answer with this. Like I haven't done a max bench press in quite some time. But I did bench press 315 a couple weeks ago. And
that wasn't a max?
No, well, I've been up to 325 in the gym. That was last year.
Wow.
But So that was I tried to get 2 reps, but I couldn't.
Wow.
I just got 1.
How about back squat?
Oh boy. So that's a problem, Billy. Do I have to answer that question? Because the problem is my back squat and my bench are like the same.
Yeah.
So my back squat, I don't know what it is. I would, if I had to
don't do
guess,
that much?
350, something like that.
No, you got a post-acute facility. You could probably check in if you need to.
Yes.
What's one sporting event, if you could pick one to be involved with, from like either an ownership standpoint or something, or even a competitor, what would it be?
I mean, I love football. Love football. My dad was a professional football player.
Really?
So yeah, that was before I was born. He played in the CFL. This was back when you reminded me, back when men were men.
Yeah.
And you know, back then, like the contracts were not very lucrative, and guys just played because they loved it. So I grew up around that sport, and you know, unfortunately, I wasn't that good coming out of high school. So I did track and field at college, but love football. Love to be around it. We work with the BYU program and Coach Sataki, great coach, great team, great coaching staff. So we try to stay involved that way with BYU. But from an ownership standpoint, I don't think we'll ever get an NFL team here. But I love baseball. Baseball.
Oh yeah,
live baseball is fun. It just takes a lot of money to be competitive in that sport.
I would love to see an MLB team here. I mean, it's fun to go to even just the Raptors games or down to the Bees. It's a great experience.
Yeah, live baseball is fantastic.
Yeah, baseball's awesome. I've got one more, and then I'm going to let Sean. I don't know if I dare give him the mic, but anyway, who's one person you would most want to have lunch with if you could pick? I know these are hard questions.
Wow, that is a hard one.
There's somebody that you admire that you've never met.
I would go I really admire Tom Brady for a lot of different reasons. And as I've watched him through the years, not only as a competitor, it was very impressive what he did, especially later in his career. That made me feel young, right? And then to see what he's doing now, and the influence that he's having outside of football, I think that's impressive. So there's probably a lot more people on that list. That's just on the spot, reaction, knee-jerk reaction. But I would, lunch with Tom Brady would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
And the fact that he's now, I'm a Raiders fan, a season ticket holder, and he's in the ownership group of the Raiders. So I'd love to talk to him about strategy
what he's
there, so we can make our team more competitive.
Do you follow the Raiders?
Painful. I do.
Are you a Raider fan?
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
I'm a season ticket holder.
Are you kidding?
Yes, season ticket holder to the
Do you
Raiders.
paint your face up and stuff?
I haven't gone that far yet. I've thought about wearing a brown bag over my head the last couple of games that I went to.
Have you always been, or is it when they
I've
came?
always been, yeah.
So
I went to some games at the Coliseum, in Oakland, and I don't. So I grew up watching those old NFL tapes with my next door neighbor, and he had the Yankees, baseball highlights and the Raiders football highlights. And so just by happen chance, he had them. And so I grew up with that, and that was my team.
Nice.
And it's been a long time since we were good.
When they moved to Vegas, I told my wife, I was like, we should be Raiders fans. I love Las Vegas.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm still hunting for a team.
Okay.
I don't have one yet. So.
Well, we get the number 1 draft pick, so we'll see if we can screw that up or if we can get it right this year.
Maybe I'll jump on board at some point.
You probably will.
I love the watch you're wearing. I'm a watch guy.
Okay.
Cade's got us all in that game, so mine's easy. Favorite watch?
Oh, man.
So many.
That's a hard. Yeah, that is a hard. I don't know if I can give you a specific watch. I'll give you. So Richard Mille is a brand that I like. I'm building out that collection now.
Nice.
But Patek is my all-time favorite.
That's your.
Yep. That's
Do you
What's
have
your go-to?
multiple Pateks or?
I do. Yep.
Nice.
I'm not going to give you the number. I've got too many.
You don't need to.
Got
Jason.
enough. OC Tanner sees you coming. They're like, we're ready. Open the door.
yeah.
I like that.
Something like that.
Cool. I'm asking about material stuff. Favorite car?
Well, I do like cars. So let's go with the McLaren Senna.
Nice.
What? I'm sorry. Explain that one. What's that car?
It's a
It's a
race
sports car. Yeah.
Sports car.
Very rare.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare-ish.
Drove here today in what?
In a car. I drove here in a
We're
car.
beating him up.
Okay, listeners, if you haven't found out yet, he's very modest, very modest, but he has a lot of nice stuff. Let's just say
One
that.
more golf handicap.
10.
10. All right.
10.1.
You'd whoop Cade.
Yeah, listen, that handicap was established when I was actually playing golf, so I don't even know what it is today.
Nice.
There was a season this last season where I didn't play really at all, so because of some of the challenges we were going through with work.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting back out there.
Someone's got to run the ship, man.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling my guys. I said, listen, if you're playing golf and I'm not, there's a problem.
Yeah. That's not fair.
That's a big
right.
problem. I know he wants to go, but I said, look, I'm not staying here and you go and golf.
Exactly.
I'll go to the horse races if that's the case. Did you ever take the class at Weber State? I don't know if this was still in effect when you were going through Weber. Technical sales?
No.
You ever hear of technical sales?
I know.
Yeah,
I know the class.
I know
yeah.
the guy that you're going to talk about.
Famous guy. Taught me a lot about relationships and just being able to sell things. So it was a fantastic class. I loved it. Before we wrap, if you were to start over, you had to go back and start over today, knowing everything you know now. What's one thing you would prioritize earlier that most people wait too long to focus on? This could be professionally or personally or anything, any of the above.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I was going with my thoughts here is that I probably would go more from a personal standpoint that like, you need to have balance in your life. It's easy to overdo it. And especially when, you go into business and you're trying to build something, it's easy to get caught up in that journey. And, it's easy to lose sight of what is most important in your life and, or what should be most important in your life. And so that, there were moments in the journey where I lost sight of that. And, I needed to have better balance at home, with my family and better balance taking care of myself personally. Because you're better that way, right? What I have found through the years is that as you get your priorities correct, you're a better employee, you're a better leader, and you're healthier mentally and physically. So I wish I would have understood that better earlier on. Some guys think you have to run 1,000 miles per hour all the time if you want to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are moments to do that, but then there are moments where you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And you need to be able to discern between those moments because, at the end of the day, if you end up, building something that's super successful and you achieve all your dreams, but lose everything in your personal life in that pursuit, that to me is a failure. And so, that's a lesson that, took me some time to, I think, learn, but I wish I would have understood it better when we started.
Fantastic words. Love the way that wrapped up. So all you listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this show. It's the famous Jason Murray. We're glad that he was able to jump in today and give us his life experiences and all that it took to grow his business, but all the fun things that he gets to do along the way. We're looking forward to him getting into the horse racing industry, and I'm going to be right there alongside. So watch us at the Kentucky Derby here in a couple of years. We'll probably have the winning horse. Until next time, guys, take care out there.
Thank you for listening. For more information about today's show, please check out the show notes. Visit our website at www.petersonws.com or give us a call at 801-475-4002. Peterson Wealth Services is a registered investment advisor. This is a paid-for advertisement. Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up-to-date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of a personalized investment advice. but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Peterson Wealth Services.